Good morning. Thank you for stepping into my queendom for another episode of Queening with the Empress. I'm your host, Patience Pat Phiri. We have over the years, you can see I've got my phone to show off. Over the years, our internet and smartphones have become so evolved that we survive on this. This is like our lifeline. Yonkinto, birthday, mabizo, phone number, wara. Everything is here. This is our lifeline. What then happens is the good side is great, and then the bad side is also this has become a weapon that we use to embarrass people, to shame people. On the internet, on our smartphones, we also use them to share, to forward, to retweet, to, so all right. Because what we're now doing is our name are separated, and to try and keep up, we send pictures, selfie to measure something, and then lovers at times send very racy pictures or messages to each other, and somehow something happens, and in some compromising position has leaked, or a screenshot has leaked, or something, a video, something that is supposed to be private has somehow gone into the public domain. According to my knowledge, we didn't have any law for that. And then slowly there's something that's come up in the past few days. We've heard about it, that there's a bill that's set to be signed, hopefully enacted whenever Parliament comes back. And that bill will criminalize those things. So it's called revenge porn. And revenge porn, that's exactly what it is. Things that are supposed to be private, when they are then made public. So if you know yourself, when you're so busy forward, share what zingalala ngawe. So today that's what we want to talk about. We want to talk about revenge porn. What are the impacts? What will happen? Will the new bill, should it be enacted? We need help in clearing this problem that we have. We love our smartphones, but we need to know how to use them right. My guests that have come for us to discuss are Uluba. And Lubalethu Ndlovu, I've known her for a while. She's a journalist and she's here aside. So Luba is here also to bring in the legal. The legal is a standard. On Queening the Empress, we need to look like Lati Siat. We've got our legal mind that is here, and that is Leocardia Gonah. She's coming, and we're going to talk about it because there's also, like I said, a bill. So there's a Tina, So we will start. Ladies, welcome.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yes, I'm here. So let's we will start. Have you ever received porn? And when I say porn, not is kiwa but somebody's video, somebody's pictures have been leaked and somehow they find themselves on your phone. Have you ever?
I have received such images, and I look at them first because I need to know what it is. Like, I'm curious. But then I delete them after because I don't want to be keeping them in my phone.
Okay. Leo?
I obviously have, by virtue of being on social media platforms, I've had my fair share of undesirable content. Mm-hmm. However, because I'm a legal mind, I realize the repercussions it has for victims, so I usually just press delete. And then again, I'm a mother, so I wouldn't want to risk that information or images, my children coming across them. Also, in line with the online schooling, they're busy with the phones and my tabs, so I automatically just
patience.
Yeah.
Okay, so since we've been, I think this year, more than any, to my recollection, more than any other year, this year, we have been seeing too many things. Abantu bayachayana, and there's always a friend that's recording, and this thing goes viral. Uto's Banibani has been found at somebody's house, and we are watching, and we're like, and we're passing judgment. Why? And then during this lockdown period, I think we're going for almost 3 months. since we've been in this state. We've seen a lot more. Why do you think there's been an increase?
Okay, firstly, I think it's because it's a lockdown. People have literally nothing to do. So they share and post their pictures to their lovers, to their friends.
Since we're separated, yeah.
And 2 weeks into the last post that you sent me, we fight. What am I going to do? I'm going to spread it. It's a revenge. I'm fighting you. Minds are idle. People have nothing to do. So I think the fact that we've got nothing better to do with our time, I would rather tarnish someone else's image during the course to keep it entertaining,
Sure.
The louder the better. So I think that's
why do you think there's an increase there?
Just to allude to what Luba has said, experts say there's five ways to show love. Well, 5 love languages.
Yeah.
And obviously we might as well add on a 6th, which is sexting, they call it. And
so nice.
Yes, like you said, that people are away from each other, lovers are away from each other, distant because of the COVID, people cannot be together. We find ourselves sending intimate messages, intimate images, which in the normal world, all things normal, should really be okay.
Yeah.
However, violations become when people fight and are not speaking the same language anymore.
I hear that. My thing is, what do you think is the end game though? Uguthi, if we have a conversation and I leak it or someone else leaks it, what is the end game? Like, what is that person hoping to achieve beyond embarrassing me? Because if we are known that we are together, if something that I've done is bad, does it not reflect on them? Luba?
I honestly think there isn't a winner for revenge porn because you sent the images out of anger, you can't revoke them. They would have spread in 2 minutes' time. The whole of Blawayo will be watching your images or my images if you sent them.
Now it's a global village.
Yes. So imagine when we fix our things. Yes, we're fighting. We got into a little quarrel. You found out that I cheated or something, and then you post them, and then we get back to our good books. What do? There is no winner because I have lost my dignity, and you have lost your dignity as well for being my partner because everyone can see my body. It's out there. There is no hiding it, and it's a digital footprint I could never forget.
And
so
no one
wins at the end of the game.
Lightning.
Both the victim and the perpetrator, we're all at a loss.
Sure. Leo, the internet never forgets. Is now the new saying. It's the thing. The internet never forgets. We've seen people losing positions because of stuff that they posted on the internet. From the legal perspective, what is the way forward?
It is true that the internet never forgets. However, giants such as Facebook and Twitter have guidelines and regulations on how to report such issues. And you find that an account can actually be revoked for posting images with revenge porn and such. Also, society's attitude towards victims is slowly changing. We're moving away from victim blaming, which I think is a very fair thing because you realize that before, especially women suffered, the perpetrators
were winning. They always look like they're winning.
Yes, especially if it was a male who has posted, they celebrated for that post. At the same time, we are proud as Zimbabweans to say that recently in the government gazette, you realize the Cyber Security and Data Protection Bill has been gazetted. And basically this means that as Zimbabwe, we realize that our laws that criminalize such issues were inadequate and people, call groups, rights groups, because human rights groups are actually terming revenge porn as a form of GBV, gender-based violence.
It should be.
Yes, so you realize that activists have gone out and requested for better laws to criminalize these issues so that victims are protected. And this bill has been gazetted and we hope it's going to be passed as law so that it deters
would-be perpetrators.
It would be perpetrators.
Okay, so for more on that bill, we will continue in the second segment. We'll take a short break. We'll be back.
Basic information on COVID-19. 1. How can one tell if they suspect it? The case definitions are based on the current information available and will be revised as soon as new information accumulates. 2. Suspect case. A patient with acute respiratory illness, fever, and at least one sign or symptom of respiratory disease. For example, cough, shortness of breath, and a history of travel to or residence in a country or area or territory reporting local transmission of COVID-19 disease during the 14 days prior to symptom onset. Or B, a patient with any acute respiratory illness and having been in contact with a confirmed or probable COVID-19 case in the last 14 days prior to onset of symptoms. Or C, a patient with severe acute respiratory infection, fever, at least one sign or symptom of respiratory disease. For example, cough, shortness of breath, and requiring hospitalization, and with no other etiology that fully explains the clinical presentation. Confirmed case, a person with laboratory confirmation of COVID-19 infection, irrespective of clinical signs and symptoms. The City of Bulawayo Health Service Department, HSD, requires your cooperation and assistance in ensuring that suspected cases are diagnosed early and necessary infection control measures and contact tracing are followed to prevent the spread of the disease.
Welcome back to Queening with the Empress, with me still, patient Pat Phiri. Today we're talking about revenge porn, the effects of it, the legality of it, and how can we, as a nation, as a global village, I guess, criminalize this? How do we put our house in order? So I still have my guests, Uluba and Leo, that are talking to us about this whole thing. Luba, since the bill that we spoke about before the break is still work in progress, what, in your opinion, do you think will change if it should be enacted?
Okay, I think that if it's enacted, it's going to change the fact that privacy remains privacy. I'm sending you something, I'm trusting you with the pictures, the information that I'm giving it to you. I want you to keep it to yourself. If I wanted it to be out there in the world, I should have done it on my Instagram or Twitter or Facebook. So I think it's going to make sure that people respect each other's privacy. I send it to you with all my trust. Keep it. Don't spread it for everyone to see, because I'm communicating with you, and I want the conversation to be between the two of us and not the rest of the world. So
okay, so does this mean that before this bill, which should come into effect, there was nothing?
I think there was a something,
okay,
but it was not effective. Because look how many people, victims, pictures have been sent all over the internet. So many, and nothing has been done. Okay. Nudes have leaked, videos have leaked, and the perpetrators have moved on with their lives like nothing happened. But the victims are left to suffer from the whole thing, the whole fight whatsoever. So it was not as effective as we would like it to be as women, because it looks like we are most affected by it.
All right, Leo, I have to bring you in. Before this bill, did we have anything, at least, to say if that happened to me, there was something for me to lean on? Did we have anything along those lines?
Okay, to this effect in Zimbabwe, before this revenge porn was dealt with under the anti-pornography, anti-obscenity law. However, like Luba said, the laws were not inadequate to the extent of criminalizing.
So they were just overall?
They were just overall.
Okay.
Therefore, you find that people continue to repeat and send images all over. However, now if the bill is enacted, it will expressly give penalties and indicate who is at fault. If not everybody, the receiver, the forwarder, the sender. So therefore, people are not going to be risking and continuing with such behavior.
Okay, so I was going to ask, you know what, legal minds are just too sharp, because I wanted to find out who really is to blame. Me, the taker of the picture, sending to you, and you, the receiver of the picture, then forwarding to Leo. So who is at fault here?
I think I've got every right to. I have every right to, because maybe I just want to show you how much I love you. Oh, hi, darling, good morning. And then
trusting that I keep it.
Exactly. Okay. It's for your eyes only. But then when I ask okay. Leo the fault comes with you, because you're now invading my privacy and exposing me to everyone else close to your circles. And
so it's like a secret. Outside. When we're young, when we're in primary school, you know, someone, I've got a secret for you, let me tell you, don't tell anybody. So it's the same thing.
It is.
Okay.
That's what it's supposed to be addressed.
So Leo, who is at fault, do you think?
Well, according to the law, and if the bill is enacted, everybody who partakes, the forwarder, the sender, the receiver, because generally the law will come in and say no one is allowed to engage in such activity anyway. So at the end of the day, the fact that you're engaging, you're becoming an accomplice, and
so sonke nje sesiqhubana sonke ngobuningi bethu nge-PJ one.
Correct.
Oh, okay. What is the delay now? When do you think, is there a time frame of when this bill will be enacted?
Obviously, the delay is because Parliament is not sitting, for obvious reasons, the COVID-19. The moment Parliament sits, because this is something that has been in the public domain, it's attracted attention, the bill has been passed, it's now just left for the President to assent to it. That means put his signature and it becomes law. And hopefully people respect the law and stop.
I'm a big chatting, I hope it's signed before pictures are out. Any red flags when you ladies went over the bill? I'm sure you've read it and back and forth and everything. Is there any red flags on the bill for you that you wish to be highlighted?
Well, as I was going through it, I realized that it gives the data controller too much power to oversee everything that is happening in it. And knowing our government, I'm fearing that it's going to be used for surveillance, not just for the pictures that we're sending, but for the dissenting views that we have, which means that it's going to stifle democracy, the democracy that freedom of expression and all those things. So I think that is one of the red flags. Like, who is controlling it? How independent is the person? What else is the person looking for other than the pictures that we're sending and the nudes and the videos and everything? So I think that is one of the red flags that it has.
Should this bill become law, do you think it will finally see the end of trolls on social media?
Definitely, because this bill is coming in with a lot of criminalization, imprisonment of up to 5 years, or both fine and imprisonment. And also, even before legislation was in place, victims could claim or still can claim damages that come with the humiliation and pain that comes from such things. So trolls will definitely be called to order.
But I just need to add to what you're saying. Like, for instance, I'm dating someone who's beyond the Zimbabwean borders, and I send it to them, and they post it to everyone else. How is the person going to put to order as a troll, considering that they are not even affected by the laws of this country? So I think we're going to have a problem, because he's beyond borders. He can do whatever he wants with my pictures, can post them on Instagram, on Twitter, wherever. And my Zimbabwean law is not going to be able to put him to record. So what happens then?
Oh, I get that. That's a very good point. So we need to get to a point where internationally we are on the same page.
Exactly.
Okay. So ladies, there we go.
No, sorry. The bill does talk about that, the jurisdiction it will follow, like I suppose because from international treaties and stuff, there will be law and stuff that.
So, any last words on this whole issue of revenge porn?
Okay, I honestly think that at this day and age, this should be dealt with. Like revenge porn should be a thing of the past. We can't be fighting through nudes and pictures and whatsoever. I think we need to find a level playing field where we fight like reasonable, like people sit down, talk about it, get it over and done with, other than tarnishing each other's images. I think that will make our lives way much better than all this.
Leo?
I totally agree with Luba. Let's be lawful, responsible citizens, because all this causes a lot of disharmony and distress for everybody involved.
Wow, I couldn't say anything else. Join me after the break for my royal thoughts.
Basic information on COVID-19. 1. How can one tell if they suspect it? The case definitions are based on the current information available and will be revised as soon as new information accumulates. 2. Suspect case. A patient with acute respiratory illness, fever, and at least one sign or symptom of respiratory disease. For example, cough, shortness of breath, and a history of travel to or residence in a country or area or territory reporting local transmission of COVID-19 disease during the 14 days prior to symptom onset. Or B, a patient with any acute respiratory illness and having been in contact with a confirmed or probable COVID-19 case in the last 14 days prior to onset of symptoms. Or C, a patient with severe acute respiratory infection, fever, at least one sign or symptom of respiratory disease. For example, cough, shortness of breath, and requiring hospitalization, and with no other etiology that fully explains the clinical presentation. Confirmed case, a person with laboratory confirmation of COVID-19 infection, irrespective of clinical signs and symptoms. The City of Bulawayo Health Service Department, HSD, requires your cooperation and assistance in ensuring that suspected cases are diagnosed early and necessary infection control measures and contact tracing are followed to prevent the spread of the disease.
Welcome back. And these are my royal thoughts. You know, my mind is already buzzing. Having spoken to Luba and Leo, I'm hopeful, a little bit hopeful, that if this bill comes into law, like people's lives can be secure. We are living, like I said, that we are living in such a global village. Our families, our partners, our children, everything, yes, everywhere. And at times we need to maintain our relations. Try and spice up things. It's very all like spice up things, and we're trying to spice up things. So if my partner is away, how do I maintain that intimate relationship with my partner? I'll send him messages, I'll send him pictures, maybe a video, but I want to trust that the person that I'm with is going to be loyal and keep the stuff that I have sent to them or discussed with them in the privacy that I hold sacred, that they too should hold sacred. But if that person then gets upset, how are we supposed to trust people? How are we supposed to be in relationships? Because the same relationship is about trust. But how am I now supposed to be afraid to trust my partner because I'm afraid that the day in Anzondela it does not already not cause a problem in our relationship because I can't trust them. So I'm hoping that when Parliament resumes, they sit down and they talk about this, and they will say, me personally, I think, yes, there are red flags, but for that part here, revenge porn, I am so ready to see this bill become an act so that we can be safe. More than ever, women are the ones that are on this side of the camera, even all those things, we never see those people, and it's the women that are then pulled down to but these people are somebody else's daughters, this is somebody else's mother, this is somebody else's friend. You know what? Let's just be responsible. Let's be trustworthy. If someone sends something to you, don't screenshot it, don't forward it, don't share it. It's not for you to share. If it's supposed to be a secret, keep it a secret. Be trustworthy. Be responsible. Till next week, guys. Stay safe. Bye-bye.